noble houses, and their daring retainers advance their agendas in the fantastic city of intrigue and danger called Ilrien. Power politics, Renaissance magic, gunpowder diplomacy, and romantic skullduggery await all retainers seeking power and prestige. We, the talented retainers, embroil ourselves in the exceedingly polite civil war that eternally unfolds in the streets. We risk the ire of the other noble houses, the criminal underworld, and beings stranger still. Our loyalties are challenged as we are torn between duty, the lure of power, and the siren call of our hearts. What will we risk to rise to the top? What will the great game take from us along the way?
Well, howdy, friends and floorheads. It is Thursday night, episode 3 of Court of Blades. Oh, goodness, we left on a cliffhanger.
It's getting real.
Poor me has been on the edge of that cliff for a couple weeks now. Yeah, maybe, Sean, if you could set the scene and get the ball rolling.
Absolutely, I can. Okay, so we find ourselves once more at the Rake's Clasp, the fight club, the underground fighting combat sports arena run by the Brizzolato crime family and Compay, the subject of our errand. Following a theft from the Bank of Brass and Bone, which our wolves of Westbrook have traced back to somehow implicating Compay, we have found ourselves here tonight, caught between some sort of schism within the actual crime family itself, the Bank of Brass and Bone, and now as boots are hitting the floor, the door is rocketing inward, the sound of booted feet and scraping steel on scabbards comes ringing down the back servants' hallway, as well as the front of the fighting pit. The Fortunato Trade Company and the Ten Hammer Regulars, their hired mercenaries, are also joining the affray. So here we stand in the midst of it all, the Wolves of Westbrook, the peerless retainers of the House Corvetto. I guess you probably have questions like, what's going on here? Who should we be backing? As we are seeing like this first shot of this kind of Colosseum space, the silken kind of pavilions that are pitched along the outside, the first screams that are going up as it becomes clear that this is not part of the night's scheduled entertainment. I think the last thing we saw was Compay in Godfrey's face. You can't possibly be one of mine, because mine know that I am working for the Ten Hammer Regulars and the Fortunato Trade Company. So we know that Godfrey's up there. Everybody else was kind of circulating through the crowd. Can I get like the crane shot? Like if I were to turn toward Tharsis, what is Tharsis doing as everything goes to hell?
So when we left Tharsis, he had just confronted our greasy little tout who had killed himself temporarily until Nestor fixed him. So I'm kind of in that back corner. I feel like he was heading for like the servants' exit or something. And Tharsis's first reaction when he hears, all right, things are going down, is to go up. I don't know if there are rafters or like lighting rigs or anything that he can do. He wants to get up and get a view of what the hell is going on before he commits to anything. Also, he's less likely to get stabbed up there.
Yeah, we're seeing Tharsis like Tharsis probably knows his way around like the second story, right? Of like of an area like this. So yeah, I mean, this is our favorite, scandal and skullduggery show. Of course, we've got the geometry and geography necessary for you to show what a hawk should do. Find a perch, right?
What I do.
So yeah, like up the gantry. I think we're watching you climb up. I think there's an action roll here, but just because I want to see what position we find ourselves in when the metal hits the meat, so to speak.
Sure, that's fair. So my ultimate objective is, like I said, to get a view of the situation and, figure out who, if anybody, I need to target. So I could see that being like a survey or maybe a hunt.
I could totally see a survey here. I could see a hunt here, but I think that it would be riskier because I can tell you who's like most immediately going to be a problem with a hunt. But I think a survey will give you the broad strokes much better than just a hunt. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
I think it would get you greater effect. I think it would put you in a riskier position.
Sure. I'll buy that. So let's do it as a survey. I only have the one die, so talk to me about the lady's favor.
I think the lady's favor here is that leading the charge down this back servants area is who do I have in the toy box? I think it's Alaric, a mercenary, Godfrey's rival.
Okay.
Fantastic. I'm glad he's here too.
Good news is Godfrey's upstairs. So,
Bad news is that
he has other things to worry about.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, it's no skin off my nose, and Godfrey frankly brought this on himself. So I'm going to make it. I will take that. Oh, of course. I mean, that is the nature of this game. But yeah, so I will go ahead and
real quick, Brian, before you roll, this was a perfect example of what's called the conversation, which is something very unique to Forged in the Dark. Sean, if you can just quickly, because I think there might be people watching maybe that aren't familiar with this and what just happened. Can we just very briefly just talk about what just happened?
So let's rewind. What we just saw here was a perfect example of the conversation, or how a Forged in the Dark game in this way is supposed to run. You see it a lot in Powered by the Apocalypse games where we're kind of like spitballing ideas back and forth, but it's almost ritualized in Forged in the Dark, right? So Tharsis told me what Tharsis's objective was. We decided that there's an interesting complication that might happen if the dice say that a complication is warranted. So we talk about what the overall objective was. The objective was to get high and get the overview of the situation. Okay, well, what action rating is that, right? And then we talked about which of these verbs that we have, which is basically.
Oh. So I'll continue with what Sean was saying. So what's neat here is that instead of there you go. You're back, Sean.
He's back.
Keep going.
Which of these verbs best
see fit?
Good Lord. Where did I leave off? No. Okay. So the verbs, right? Which of these verbs best suits what it is that the intention is? We decided maybe one of them was going to be more focused and maybe give us better effect. One of them would be riskier, the one that gave you better effect. And then we kind of negotiated back and forth. So when there wasn't, when it wasn't necessarily your field of expertise, you asked for the lady's favor, and then, then at that point we have a conversation of whether or not that terrible thing that I just said is worth an extra die, and that's kind of what drives the wheels. That kind of push and pull between. I think it'd be interesting if this. Okay, but what if I this? And that's Forged in the Dark right there.
Yeah, it's not just about making whatever gives the most dice. It's whatever makes the most interesting story.
What suits the fiction,
right? And position and effect, right? Well, that's a huge part of the decision making.
Yeah. Yes. How effective am I likely to be, and how dangerous is it?
And also the trade-offs.
And the trade-offs.
This route, and I get this result. I go this route, I get this result. I've got the lady's favor.
All right.
So I think here we are risky, and I think we are standard for a survey here.
All right, so we'll call it risky standard. I'm adding a die for the lady's favor. I'm going to conserve my stress. Let's see what happens.
Saw the two first.
Yeah, me too.
So we take the highest of all dice rolled.
Yeah, exactly. So that 4 is the only one that counts, which means I can only hurt you a little. So what happens here is as you're kind of clambering up the gantry, like this gantry wasn't meant to support like human weight or anything like that. It's purely a lighting rig, but you are alighting. So, it's kind of the same thing. I think as you're kind of able to get this bird's eye view, you see that there are a lot of things happening kind of all at once. Obviously that your first view is Alaric and a contingent of 10 hammer regulars, main forcers coming down that hallway, pushing, servants and a couple of fighters, like people who were probably on their way to the the backstage area of the actual pit itself out of the way, and they have naked steel in their hand. They are coming to spill some blood. But you also see that Apollo is immediately like drawing up short, right? And there's a moment where Apollo is looking for his knack, right? And his knack is out of what is going on with your greasy out, right? So the knack is out of place, which means immediately your hawk senses say this is a perfect time for Apollo Brizolato to, be dethroned. And about that point, like, you're looking for the avenues that maybe violence could be coming from.
Right.
But I don't think. So, Nestor, you're there with the greasy tout, who is very much like should be dead, right? Whatever this thing was that they had in their hand, that they crumpled into their hand, absorbed through their skin, you brought them back with your knack, right? In what manner do you find, like, they coming to consciousness? Are they like in the midst of a fit? Like, what do you
I think
the bezoar?
I only caught a bit of that, but I think he's kind of, when you're waking someone up from a really deep sleep, and for at least a little while, they don't have much to them other than confusion. I think it's that. I can see Nestor kind of grabbing him by the shirt collar and trying to drag him as close to a wall as possible, so at least there's something behind behind our backs.
Interesting. Okay. So trying to get them to a measure of safety, right?
I don't even care about their safety, but I want to ask them some questions, and I'm not going to get to do that if I leave them out in there, and I'm not staying out there.
Sure. And I mean, do you think that Nestor is aware of Sarum, like, beginning to encroach?
I couldn't miss it. He's blazing his neck since you walked in. I know he's there. I have to assume that he's got bigger fish to fry at this moment.
Okay. All right. I like that. So this tout, right? This bookie is coming back to consciousness by degrees, and is like, you can see that there is like a ripple like underneath their skin, like they are unreal slightly as they are waking. It's almost like a like deceptive camouflage, like deceptive coloration trying to assert itself, right? And like when it sees you, it is not pleased that you are the one who's waking it.
I don't like it. Why it?
This
Him.
is
We can go with him.
Unpleasantly familiar.
No.
If I've
I
got
mean,
to owe someone
familiar, but not
a favor,
the way you mean it.
if I've got to owe someone a favor, why does it have to be him?
Yep. So what do you want to know? What are you trying to do here, Nestor?
I want to know what interest the Fae have in a gang war.
Interesting. Okay. What interest does the Fae have in a gang war? Is that what we like see on camera as you like have this thing kind of in a
I don't think I say Fae, but I say,
Yeah.
what do your masters want? What do your masters stand to gain from a gang war? Because
yeah. I think it flicks its tongue kind of experimentally, just like tasting the air between you and it. This kind of like forked, like vaguely serpentine tongue, and it, reasserts its camouflage like harder, right? And like it knows that it's been seen, but it's still like there are expectations right? It reasserts this deceptive camouflage, and it says, "Listen here. Anytime a king dies, we're needed. We're needed to assure ascension as it should be. That's why I'm here. Why are you here?"
I think Nestor is so caught by surprise by the question. I think he just lays it out. He's like, "We're after a safe deposit box. What are you talking about?"
And I think at that point, like its eyes like sharpen. It's like it leans in and it sniffs and it says, "You can't touch me." And immediately, like your hands pass through it.
I think I'm reaching in my pocket for my where is it? Not my arcane focus. My lady's kiss.
Ooh, okay.
It's a charm that protects from supernatural threats. But I assume it's probably made of iron.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that counts, right? Just for the sake of this moment in our show, right? I want to flashback real quick to when we were in the gondola.
Mm-hmm.
The last things you said to the winter soldier, right? The soldier of the winter court was, "And at your service," and it smiled and said, "Done."
Mm-hmm.
And so we come back and we see you pulling out the lady's kiss, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is what does a lady's kiss look like?
I think it's like 3 bands of iron twisted together in like a Celtic style.
Awesome. Very cool. What is your intent with this thing?
I'm expecting an attack from him. I think I've satisfied my duty to him under that pledge by saving his life. Even if it was something that he can't think that saving his life is helping him. It doesn't matter what he thinks, quite frankly. That letters the deal.
This isn't that Fae.
Oh, I thought it was the same.
You know
Fae.
that immediately that this is not.
Okay,
that
I thought it was the same Fae.
Nope.
Then I just
kind of wish it was.
I sure do.
Fae.
This is much worse.
I mean, and it's not even like, you were holding it and then all this.
Oh, damn it, Sean. Poor Sean is struggling with his internet.
Sudden, he's there. It's very much
He's coming back. Here he comes.
Like but immediately it's just a weird textural thing. Like your hands like sink through this adaptive camouflage and like you can't. It's like trying to grab onto a greased pig. But pulling out the lady's kiss, right? Like you're warded. He can't hurt you either. So you're kind of at an impasse. Like, and I think he's waiting for terms, right? Because he's like, "You can't touch me." Now your turn. What do you want?
I want to avoid bloodshed. There's going to be plenty here, but if I can reduce it, I'd like to do so.
Right. Interesting. Okay. Now I have lost Donald, but I want to flip over to Tristane because we said bloodshed.
So
We still have Donald?
I'm
Something in my
here.
ear.
We
can
do.
see and hear
So,
him. Can
Sean,
you
why
hear
don't
him?
you? Yeah. Can you hear him, Sean?
Test.
Say
Can you hear me,
something.
Sean? I am talking to you.
He is talking.
cannot.
We can hear him. So
Okay.
do a quick refresh, Sean.
Doing a quick refresh.
Yep. And maybe,
Let's try
Nathan,
it
can we
again.
cover real quick how inventory works? So you decided that you had this item, but you hadn't packed it as a player. So can we
Right.
tell people real quick how that works?
I have a list of gear that I can choose from. Now, I came in with a discrete load, which means I can only really take 1 to 3 things from my list of potential gear I would have. Being a professional, Nathan doesn't know what I could possibly need, but Nestor would. In this case, the lady's kiss is one of the items that is in italics, which means that it does not count against your gear, your load amount.
And what this does, in in Forged in the Dark games, and especially in a we're not on a heist, right? It's a little bit different than Blades in the Dark, but it's a similar type thing where we have very skilled characters, far more skilled at what they do than the players. So the players don't have to try to predict what they would pack in their bags. The characters already did, and then we have a really neat mechanic the way that gear works. All right, can you see Donald, Sean?
I can see Donald now.
Okay,
All
I
right,
can
so
hear
we said
Donald now.
bloodshed.
Yes. So
Can you hear me now?
yes, I can hear you. Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
exactly.
Okay, so after being accosted by Berciato's disappointed dad voice, I'd actually sat down with my drink to kind of rethink my life for a moment. I think I
Right.
made some comment about I still have it as I was sitting down.
Yeah.
So as I hear the noise, which I obviously recognize, my instincts kind of kick in. I'll take a deep breath to center myself, finish the drink, set the glass down, and then as I'm standing up, my hand instinctively drops down to my sheath, and my thumb presses about an inch on the blade to pop the friction lock that keeps it while I'm traveling in.
Perfect.
And then as I'm turning, I know that my brother has a rule that stupid people never look up. So I am looking up, one to see where Godfrey is, and one to see where Tharsis is. So I'm basically trying
Alright.
to take count of where my people are in here and figure out if any of them are in immediate danger that I need to deal with.
Donald, you're
Now,
such a good player.
I know, right? Now you've worked with these yahoos for a while now,
Yeah.
like especially your brother, right? Tharsis is an easy catch. You know exactly where Tharsis would be because it's where you would be if everything had gone wrong in your
Yeah.
life, right? And then Godfrey's a little bit harder to catch, but you know he told you exactly where he was going to go, so
Exactly.
you know exactly where he is. More important though, you see who is not where they're supposed to be,
Mhm.
which is you don't see Sarum next to Apollo Brizzolato. You see that he is stopped, and Nadia has kept walking up toward the balcony to go and have words with Compe, even as all hell is breaking loose in here. Like she's very much, this is the bank of brass and bone comes first, and these paltry matters will not dissuade them. So the hen has left the hen house, right? Like we no longer things are in flux and in motion. But even worse is you can see that there is a fairly steady flow of armed combatants that are moving in to take possession of the rake's clasp.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to look up at Tharsis,
mhm.
lock eyes on him a moment, and then I'm going to look at Brizzolato, and then look at Compe, with the, we've practiced this. Which one? Who are we backing this round?
Right.
Don't have to say what. Just I'll look at both of them and see which one he looks at.
Mm-hmm.
And Tharsis, at least at the moment, looks at Apollo
Okay.
as as in suggesting that that's the side I think we should be on.
Okay. So I will start heading toward Apollo.
Okay. Apollo sees you coming, and
Okay.
I think like in that moment, the fact that he used to be a fan of yours, like serves you in good stead, because you can see that like he is not unarmed. He didn't come here without his claws. He definitely like makes a motion, and like there's a stiletto in one hand. And if you had been anyone else, when you kind of like break his bubble, he would have gutted you where you stood.
Yeah.
Right. But as it is, instead he wheels and he's like, "You again? This isn't you."
I believe I owe you a demonstration of my skill and how it has not lapsed in the ways you may fear it has.
I think it's a slow, like kind of canny wolf smile that he gives you. And he's like, there's an old sailor's expression about ports and storms, I think.
Yes.
Mind my back, will you?
Of course. Then
Go ahead
I will-
and knock your harm, your social harm down one category.
Very nice.
Just don't screw it up.
And don't forget, Godfrey has a back as well, Tristan.
We make hard choices here.
So I will draw my blade, and I'm what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn so that my sheath is touching his hip,
Okay.
so that I can look behind him but still have a feel for where he is based upon my sheath.
Nice.
Okay.
Contact.
That's cool. I like that a lot. Okay. So my question here is, as you are helping Apollo navigate this crowd, right?
Mhm.
Do you think that your principal concern is keeping him safe, or maybe proving that he was wrong about you?
Honestly, at the moment, I think it's more about keeping him safe.
Okay. I don't think
There's
I have
enough
to.
there's enough people here that I'll get a chance to prove myself.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, I do have to remember what's good for the family, and my ego is not always what's good for the family.
Okay. I'm not going to make you roll for that.
Yeah.
I think you can absolutely keep Apollo Breetzelato safe here. I think that we're treated to a short like action sequence,
Yeah.
not quite a montage, because that's more like, you know, MCU like quick cuts or whatever, and that's not what we're about here. We're about you know, flamboyant displays of quick and sterling steel. So as we're kind of doing the dolly shot that is following you and Apollo up toward the elevated catwalk over the pit, like there's, you know, an attacker who dives in and quickly, you know, send them spinning back into the crowd, and we see like several of these people as Apollo walks kind of unhurried and seemingly unbothered as you are behind them. I don't think that takes because you are the Bravo.
Yeah.
Like you are exceptionally good at this. However, that final person is Maestra. Like
Maestra.
climbing up out of the pit, your foil. I think actually, why don't you tell me what Maestra?
He just looked up, but I think he was.
He's asking what Maestro looks like.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Is my worst
Understand.
day.
So, I picture Maestra being a large muscular man. You know, that's always been kind of one of our things is, you know, the sword versus the brawn.
Right.
Oh, okay.
You know, the idea being that while I have the blade, you know, there's a lot of techniques you can use if you can get in on someone.
Mm-hmm.
And so he is much more of that brawler type, where I have to be careful about this, especially right now where I don't have the ability to retreat and maintain that distance
Mm-hmm.
that I would normally maintain with him.
And
So
Maestro is just a panther of a man, is what I'm hearing, right?
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Very much the type of person who, you know, will bear hug his opponent and then promptly you know, crack every vertebrae as he whips them around.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that's where we find it, right? Because Maestro pulls himself up and dives at you, just flying spear tackle. I think this might be a point where we have an action roll.
Okay.
Because Maestro is your foil,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not immediately going to deal harm here.
Okay. So trying to think if this would be a skirmish or a maneuver. I'm thinking it'd be a skirmish because my thinking is, since I know his style and I know he's going to dive toward me, while I am going to try to move a little bit, instead of actually trying to attack him with the blade, I'm going to basically try to use the quillions as brass knuckles to interpose them in between and just let him bounce off of them.
Nice. This will look really cool if it works well.
Yeah. So you know what? It's 2 stress to add a die, right?
It is. That's to push yourself. I think with this right now, that we are sitting at I think we're risky limited to start.
Okay.
Ooh, limited.
I don't think this will
Ouch.
stop Maestra. I don't think this will stop Maestra. I think this will put him off for a second.
And that's my goal with this, is more to stun him, to give me that half second to actually be able to react properly. So this
Sure.
limited works. So I'll push to do an extra die. So I'm figure out how to do this. Okay. So.
But it doesn't
Or
matter.
maybe it will.
There we go.
Correct.
Is that what you want? You want is that the extra effect you would like on your crit to put Maestra out and I can't hurt you with him anymore? Or would you like me to make sure that no Fey nonsense is actually going on with Maestra right now?
Oh,
Loaded question.
yeah. Nah, I like Faye.
You like
So
Fey?
we'll,
Okay.
we'll keep the Faye nonsense,
Sweet.
and we'll go with the, stopping, at least slowing him down enough that we can retreat out of his immediate grasp.
I'm seeing Maestra has like one of those faces. It looks as though it had, right? I think it's a hello again. I think it's a nose that's been broken many times. I think it's like one of those faces that looks best with a busted lip. And I think that like that is something that you can definitely indulge them with, right?
Yes.
Those quillions are at the perfect angle to just like flatten that nose as Maestra comes in for that flying body block, and just bonelessly to the ground and like gurgling. I think Apollo turns and is like, maybe I had you wrong.
As I said, I believe I owe you a demonstration.
Just real quick, Tharsis, what would be worse right now?
Oh, Jesus.
I love these kind of questions. Does
Yeah.
it show?
I do when they're not directed at me.
So what would be worse right now?
Mhm.
Would it be worse if there was a hidden sniper? Or would it be worse if there was a hidden sniper, or if you saw where the fuses were?
Oh God. I feel like I can deal with a sniper. I think
I vote
fuses would
neither.
be extremely bad.
I don't like either of those. Can I resist?
Yes, but a sniper would worry me less.
A sniper would worry you less? Okay, good. So you see where the fuses are.
Great, thanks.
Saw that coming.
I'm kidding.
I mean,
I'm kidding. No, that would be wrong. That would be wrong with me.
but hilarious.
But hilarious. No, I think you see that there is in fact a long barrel protruding from. You remember how we said up at the top? There's like the pit boss's like office where
Right.
Compe like keeps his actual office.
Mhm.
Out of one of those windows, there is a rifle that has been aimed. Now it's one of those like split windows where they kind of
Mhm.
like incline and you can
Right.
like look down on the floor.
Mhm.
So it's hard to see who's in there, but you can definitely see the barrel. And like as it is swinging into line, it's pointed at Godfrey.
Okay. Oh, I thought Godfrey was in that room.
Standing on the gantry outside.
He's outside. Okay, cool. Well, that can't happen. So I'll tell you a thing that I brought with me.
I love things
One
that
of
you
the
brought with you.
things, yeah, one of the things that a hawk has access to is a hunting companion, which
Perfect.
can be an arcane or mundane creature.
Mhm.
And what Tharsis has is a little odd trinket that he brought with him, when he first came to Ilrien, and it's basically a little ring carved in the shape of a falcon's head. And he basically, when he sees that, he's kind of hanging on to the gantry with one hand. He basically pulls the ring off with his other hand and throws it at that window. And it
Nice.
takes the shape of this sort of greenish, somewhat intangible falcon-like thing
Ooh.
that basically just goes in through that window and strikes whoever it is pointing that gun directly in the face.
Perfect. So good news is that the bullet fired misses Godfrey, like
Cool.
narrowly over one shoulder. Bad news is that it hits a chandelier, and the screaming redoubles in here as the chandelier comes down in the midst of the crowd. It's very, very busy in here right about now, unless we'd like to resist anything.
I mean, people should know better than to stand under a chandelier in a situation like this.
It's fair. This is Ilrien. It's hard.
This
not
is
to
not
stand under a
my
chandelier.
problem.
Chandelier designed by Darwin.
It is on my list of problems, but it is extremely low on that list.
Fair enough. Yes, there is a grunt, a thud, and then the sound of the rifle going off, and then a smash, and then the redoubled screams of the crowd that are trying to get out of here. Godfrey, as that bullet passes over your shoulder, like that was meant for you, but you've got other problems, right? Because Nadia is drifting up the stairs right now.
I think that what's happening to me right now is the huge fall, right? I thought I had climbed this mountain and I had put all the pieces together. I was ready. I was prepared. I reacted quickly. These are all things I'm very proud of. When Campe pointed his finger at me and I realized I missed something, it was no bueno. And I immediately go into the basics. The same thing that happens when you're driving a car and you're about, like, a car comes from the street that ran the red light and you're not thinking, you are down to your base instincts. You're doing what you've been trained to do since a child. So as soon as I realize the jig is up, this is rehearsed a million times. Hand to the pouch. Out comes my vial of sweet sleep. It immediately goes into Campe's face. Okay. This is there might be like 15 action rolls by the time I'm done. So keep track. So the sweet sleep goes into his face. I turn and first look for Nadia. So that I know where she is. Then I know the twins. So I've got to look 12, 6, 9, and 3, right? I go to 12, there's Tharsis. I go to 6, I see Tristane. And okay. And we've already established this. I figured out all the exits. So sleep. Know where the twins are. Nestor will be somewhere. I'll deal with that. And hopefully it's in my favor. I need to get the hell out. So whatever route from where I am right now that I have established and knew was there, I'm going to find the straightest line. And the only thing, just so you know, Sean, that would stop me from escaping from the current situation is if I thought Nadia was in danger. Is that a lot? You all right?
No, that's a lot, but that's okay. I'm parsing through this, and I think that I've got your sense of the fiction here. Yeah. Like, you are trying to accomplish the mission, reduce exposure, find the quickest way to disengage, and get back on familiar territory where now you are controlling things.
Correct. Things are out of control. I am not. I need to get where I'm in control.
It is very, very unlikely that you have lived through a moment that you have been less in control than this actual moment right here. Okay. That being said, I think that if you mark that vial of sweet sleep, you absolutely have the ability to incapacitate Campe. I don't think that's a roll. I don't think that's an interesting roll. I just think that that's what we see. We see that, hey, does this smell like chloroform? And then like
exactly. We were right there.
Down he goes. What I think is interesting is, what are you willing to risk to remove yourself from the situation, right? Because I think that, like, a skulk here is like, do I want to get out of here avoiding notice, right? I think a maneuver is, I need to get out of here quickly without, any complications thereof, right? What are you thinking?
So obviously getting out not noticed, as an after effect, they don't know where I went, right? So that's a huge value to me. But and I'll need your help here, Sean, because I'm not worried about the twins. The twins don't need my help right now. Now we're in their world. This is what they do.
Yeah, we just saw 2 scenes of them being absolute badass.
Exactly, right. So I'm not worried about the twins. Again, Nestor's going to pop up probably when I least need him to, or might be exactly when I needed him to. So that's a agent of chaos I can't calculate for. So, and I'll need your help here in the fiction. I need to extract myself to a place where I can assess and figure out where I can be helpful. And the only thing that's going to throw a monkey in that is if I do think Nadia is in danger. If I think she is safe for the next 4 beats, then I'm going to get my ass safe. But if that shot was aimed at her, which it was, you understand what I'm saying? So I got to understand what her situation is.
Yeah. Sure. So let me walk you through this, because this is foundational, right? I think we are seeing like a cyclone of like small combats that are, all over the area. Thanks to Tristane, Apollo is walking through it like it's a stroll through the garden. Nadia never broke stride. Does that make sense? Like,
yep.
Somehow all of this is going on, and she walks, hands folded, exuding power. Nothing can bother her as she is mounting these steps. Now, does that make you feel as though she might be safe in this situation?
It does, but it might change where I'm headed. I need to head where I can keep close eyes on her. Okay.
And in the fiction here, you're dragging Compe, right?
Oh, no.
Oh, you're just leaving him.
Yeah, no. What I'm hoping is that he'll give me a half step as his entourage goes, oh my God, our man is down. That's all I'm going for right now.
Okay, perfect. Excellent. So yeah, as he crumples to the floor, we're watching you get out.
Yeah.
Now, are you removing yourself from the actual scene here? Are we watching Godfrey like, I'm done now. Like, I've done everything that I needed to here. I'm going to get away
for the moment, right? Okay. So and because Godfrey knows I am no help right now.
Okay.
In this situation, I'm of no help. I need to get to a place where I can watch and figure out how I can be of help.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So I think that there's an interesting consequence here somewhere.
Okay.
But it depends on what it is that you are most concerned with as you are extricating yourself from this situation.
It's Nadia.
Should I enumerate, or should I just trust that it's Nadia? Okay, it being Nadia, the interesting thing here is whether or not she sees you flee.
Oh God, that's really good. You're such an asshole.
Because you basically trust up Thanksgiving dinner and left it there. But like, is she going to see you? Like, her objective is there on the gantry, and away you go.
Yeah, I need to use Skulk. It would be good if she did not see me running.
Then that's what we're going to have you roll here.
Yep.
Nadia, I'm going to go ahead and say, sees you flee. Unless you'd like to resist that.
Come on, men do foolish things for love all the time.
I can restore it. I can't. I'm not going to resist it right now.
Okay. So she hang on. Let me rephrase that, because I phrased it inelegantly. Nadia believes she might have caught sight of somebody who bears a passing resemblance to the boy that she knew when she was taking lessons all those many years ago. Fleeing.
Okay.
She can't be sure.
Yeah.
But she thinks.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's good. I'm not going to resist that. Okay. Then I'm going to do what I can to GTFO.
Okay. Let's see a skulk. It is currently controlled, because I don't think there's anybody who's trying to stop you.
Yep.
And I think it's going to start limited. There's a lot of bodies between you and safety.
Yeah, what are my options for increasing that effect? I can't push myself for effect, right? Can I
think
trade
the
risky for? Oh, we're losing you,
You
Sean.
lost
Buddy.
that, Sean.
Yeah, because isn't that
so you can put effect. Am I all gone?
we missed all
I don't
that,
know how much
Sean? I'm
more
sorry.
Stuff I can turn on. No worries.
Sorry,
So,
man.
It's okay. I like for some reason I don't know if it's the weather or what, but like for some
the
reason I'm
ghosts.
just not getting any kind of internet right now.
Yeah, we're okay. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, but in any
I'm
case, yes,
willing-
you can push for effect.
Okay,
You can push for effect. You can trade to a risky position for standard
That's all.
effect.
that's what I'll do. I'm going to go risky and go to standard.
Okay.
All right.
Just roll another crit. Like it'll be fine.
Yeah, super easy.
Yeah,
Or
see? Just like look,
You got
that's a
doubles.
6.
Nice.
Look, a 6 is a 6, right? Okay. So it's all right. It's all right. What this means is that there was a snag of some kind. And it's not that Godfrey's not good at beating feet. It's not that Godfrey is not sneaky. This is a thing that we never in the fiction would dare say. Godfrey knows exactly what his role is. He knows exactly how to blend into a crowd. However, in this particular moment, I think you fall like you are making use of your deceptive camouflage here. Like you are dressed as one of Compé's servants.
Yep.
And I think as you are making your way back through the servants like hallway through the corridors, somebody puts a hand on your shoulder and is like, "Show us where the basement is," right? Like leans in, and it's Ulrich. And I think there's a moment of like, like I don't know that he necessarily immediately recognizes you, but he's got like that. You look familiar, right? Like you, Compé's man. Show us to the basement.
so, Sean, if I resist this, will it make it so he does not recognize me?
I think it means Ulrich isn't there. I think
Oh
somebody
God!
else
All
is
right,
there.
resist. Okay, resist.
I have to say, while he's rolling to resist, you were much nicer than I was expecting. I was expecting him to see the sniper barrel pop back out.
Nah,
of the Nadia.
no.
So remind me on a resist. What do I roll to resist? Is it? Do you choose, or just my lowest? I can't remember.
So whatever is making sense here, right?
Okay.
Usually when the safe answer is whatever the resistance stat of whatever it was that you rolled is usually a good thought, right? Because when you're skulking, right? But I could see either body or mind here as a resist.
Both the
So-
same, and I'm thinking this might be mind. If you're okay
Mind.
with it, they're both
Yeah,
the same.
you're foreseeing outcomes more than
Yeah.
you are actively like with my body resistant. Okay, fair enough. I can see that.
So I'm gonna get 6 stress plus.
So
0 stress.
Oh, look at
0
that.
stress resistance. See, if you just roll
Wow.
6s,
Yeah,
don't
get
split them up
good.
like that. No factorializing. So 0 stress resistance, and it's not. For a second, it looks like Ulrich is what it is.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
Ulrich has that kind of like hawkish Saturnine nose and everything that you would expect from like a 10 hammer regular, but these 10 hammer regulars, a lot of them, especially when they're armored and like looking like they're out for a fight, like it was an easy mistake to make. Like the features reassert themselves and it's like, no, Ulrich, he's missing the scar, right? Or whatever. But they do still want you to lead them down into the basement, serving man.
Yeah, no, of course, sir. Of course. So follow me,
They do.
and I'm gonna. I know where the basement is, though I've never been to the basement. I've got the maps and everything in my head, right? So I'm gonna head for the basement, and at some point, I will get rid. Is it just him, or like who am I leading to the basement?
I think it's
Worst game of CB radio I've ever
This guy.
played.
They come through.
Now you're here. We got
Okay, so it's him and two furtive-looking men carrying like knapsacks.
you. Okay. In which case, I'm not going to lead them. So I'm going to go, of course, good sir. And hand on the shoulder, being a little pushy, point somewhere.
Sure.
Somewhere where there is a staircase.
Okay.
But that's beat past me. Of course, sir. Right there.
Yep. Okay. I think they nod and like I actually think that like this 10 hammer regular like leans in and is like, you'll be rewarded for this. And then he like pushes on, right? I wonder what was in this.
Beat a sweat when I thought who it was for a second.
This is gonna be so bad. But yeah, they push on past you to start a 6-part clock. Which go ahead and put charges.
Charge. Oh God, I don't.
I'm
like
sure that's
that.
fine. I'm sure that's fine.
No, this is a credit situation. We're fine.
Oh.
You know,
Yeah, exactly.
it's fireworks to celebrate.
Do you
your
accept the
success.
charges?
Yes.
All right. You said 6.
Yes.
All right, I got it.
Okay. So you make your way out the back through the servants' exit, and you're home free. You're in the alley out back. You can take a second, catch your breath, like post up against the back wall or whatever. Have yourself a moment, because we're going to go back to Nestor, because treating with the Fae is a dangerous thing, right?
Oh, we do it every day.
We do it every day. Exactly.
Yeah.
Welcome to my table.
No, this is my second time ever.
And if it's all right with you, Sean, as we cut to Nestor, you were seeing me get rid of the servants' clothes so that I
don't
can
want to be this guy anymore.
I want to recombine with attendees, which I was what I was dressed as before. So
Okay. The false nose.
Yeah.
The wig. Perfect.
Holy
So
shit, it's
Nestor,
Tom
you're holding your charm against Fey magic and everything, and this Fey is like straightening himself and like it wasn't supposed to go this way. It was supposed to be clean, simple. They had the ring, they made the bargain. It was supposed to be something that you were hands off. You didn't have to say nothing. We were just gonna take care of it.
I can't tell if you're frozen or you're pausing for me.
I'm pausing.
He's
pausing
waiting
for a
for
second.
you.
Sorry.
Just staring you down at this point.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I think Nestor's. I think that he says, "We're not your tools."
That's a really, really good answer, honestly, because like it's taken aback for a second, and like it furrows its brow and kind of like puts a hand on your shoulder and pushes you to one side and continues talking to Sarum, who's right behind you. It was supposed to be easy. It was supposed to be hands off. They had the ring, and then
He wasn't even talking to you.
Nestor has this great like back and forth. you.
That's amazing.
That's Sarum with that half mask pulled off of the bank of brass and bone, like the bank mages, right? Like leans in and is like, this has gotten somewhat more complicated than we initially expected. Well, that's hardly our fault. And like you're seeing back and forth both of these powerful like magical beings blaming each other for how badly the night has gone. And here you stand in the middle of it as you're feeling like the pressure between them as like the forces that they can command gathering like thunderheads. Now you've got your lady's kiss, right, which will keep you safe, but you're very much in the middle of these two people who are like You got two gunslingers reaching for iron right now, only not at all reaching for iron, because that would be terrible for both of these people.
I think this is one of the situations that Nestor was never a magical duelist. That was never his strength. But he sure knows how to draw attention.
Sure.
So I think what Nestor does, he puts one hand in the air, and that one hand starts glowing. The intention not being that I'm going to unleash any kind of real magic on them, and they both know I'm not releasing anything. Like, this is very obvious, but not very magically powerful.
This is a year one light spell.
Yeah, but what it will do is show my friend in the rafters exactly where to shoot.
Oh shit! All right.
And I'm holding it up to the side that Sauron is on. Obviously not.
Okay. All right. So Apollo Brizzolato's knack, the knack who apparently like pilfered or helped pilfer or something, was in some way tied to the getting past the defenses of the Bank of Brass and Bone to pilfer the House Corvetto lockbox, angrily arguing with that bookie. Your knack is, giving subtle impression. This guy over here is a bad thing, like only with like a light, like a lighthouse for treachery. Like,
I'm having a World of Warcraft flashback to Hunter's Mark, just kind of.
This guy right here. Throw hate at it. So what do you do with this information? Like, do you trust your knack to like call your shots for you?
Well, so my thought while all of this is going on is basically from his position, because despite the ricketiness of the stuff, Tharsis himself feels relatively safe.
Sure.
So basically, I'm like, all right, who's in danger? My brother has Apollo. They seem to have that situation well in hand. Godfrey has left. Is anyone directly threatening Nadja at this point? Is anyone directly threatening Nestor at this point? And so if there's no other people who are in danger, that I, of key people that are in danger that I can see, then I don't like attacking Max, but I also don't want Nestor to get killed. I mean, if he could get damaged in some entertaining fashion, that would be nice. But I will very carefully. About how far away from them would you say I am?
From what I'm seeing is like if we're imagining a big like theater in the round, you're on one side of the central pit, kind of up on the lighting apparatus, and I see Nestor closer to like the main entrance.
Okay.
So it'd be a shot across the hall, maybe, I don't know, probably within 100 yards easily.
Okay, so but not the kind of thing that we could do with a pistol. So
I think it's something that you could do with a pistol. I don't know that anybody else could.
Because I am kind of operating one-handed up here.
Yeah.
Tharsis sighs, rolls his eyes a little bit, carefully pulls out a long pistol, and just to try and optimize the thing. And if you're willing, I'm going to kind of offer my own lady's favor here and see what you think.
Okay.
So basically, as he's about to take the shot, he kind of leans down, and like just as he pulls the trigger, there is a crack, and the whole thing that he's hanging onto starts to topple over.
So this sounds like you're putting yourself in a desperate position. Is that correct?
I'll buy that.
It feels like you're putting yourself in a desperate position for standard effect on a knack who is above your station. Does that make sense? You have fine pistols, right?
I do.
You have fine pistols. Okay, so it is standard.
Well, I have a fine ranged weapon, so that
Perfect.
would be,
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And I will assist using my magic to
to sort of highlight his head.
Well, I'm hoping Prevent is-
People die if you hit them here.
Prevent is magic, but also just maybe spell it.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure, I'll buy that.
Okay, I like that.
All right, so I'm thinking this is probably a hunt roll.
I could see hunt here. I could also
Okay.
see. I could see wreck.
No, wreck isn't really my shtick. The focus is on the kill, not on or not even the kill necessarily, but
The head.
you know,
Picking out the target
keeping him away
long
from
yeah.
Nestor. Yep, exactly.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
we're
I could
saying
see-
this is.
I could see hunt here.
Right.
I think that starts desperate.
Mm-hmm.
I think with your putting yourself in desperate, that makes it standard.
Okay. And so are we considering the nonsense with the platform a lady's favor for a plus die, or that is just setting
That
the
is what
boots
gives
in
you
effect?
desperate here.
Got it.
If you would like an
Um,
additional lady's favor, I have some.
I'll listen.
You'll hear me out.
Sure. Sure.
Okay, excellent. Now stop me if any of these sound interesting.
Mhm.
Okay. I think one lady's favor is that we get like a cutaway scene as the gantry is falling apart, as Nadia leans down, pulls Campe like kind of up, and then like pulls one hand up and removes a ring and slips it on her own finger and like melds back into the melee. That's one. Another would be Apollo Brizzolato gains the top of the gantry and turns back to Tristane and says, "Now be careful, that's not Nadia." Or the final one that I have is that chandelier has caught the exit on fire.
I mean, I like all of those, but frankly,
Roll 7 dice.
that's not Nadia is too good to pass.
Oh, come on.
You set this up for yourself, Greg. All right, so it looks like we are desperate, standard. I'm getting a die from Nestor's help, and actually, instead of taking another die, this is risky because the way I am with dice. Can I switch that for greater effect?
You can absolutely push for greater effect here.
All right, cool. So I'm rolling 3 dice, desperate great, which is really what you want.
That's exactly what you
desperate great is the ideal situation here. All right, let's see.
Just
what we
roll
got.
6.
There
Okay.
you go,
There it is.
baby.
Easy as that.
You did.
All right. So we are watching the gantry come apart. Right. I think we said not much more than like 10 feet in the air. So like riding it down into the stands is not like, it's not going to be a lethal thing. So doesn't throw you off your aim. You don't lose your shot. You've got we're watching like the plume of smoke and propellant. We're watching the little mini ball like moving in slow motion and like the corkscrewing contrail that it's leaving behind as it like Sarum at this point, like you can see just crackling power beginning to radiate off Sarum. Nestor, what was the scariest thing about Sarum? How did Sarum make your life difficult in Skolum?
I think he knew where my family was from, and he made sure I knew he knew how to get to my family. So it was never his magical might, it was his vindictiveness.
So this vindictive like figure of terror, right? Like this person who is just mean-spirited and like playing this game for blood, whereas like maybe that's never been the way Nestor like looked at this particular game of houses. Like you can see that there's a part of Sarum that as like this fey creature is channeling power in its defense. Like Sarum is, you can see that is happy that he gets to remove a cutout at this point. Like nothing can lead back to Sarum, and that's about when the ball like impacts the back of Sarum's head. And the mask flies off and like rattles across the floor to your feet. And there is like
a mask out of the air.
Oh, absolutely you can.
Okay, nice.
Absolutely you can. But there's like this. What happens when a knack dies?
Oh. I'm tempted to go Highlander here, but I think that it's the opposite. It's an enveloping in. It's a collapse in, because the magic is eating them from the inside, and everything basically gets pulled out of this realm through that hole when the will isn't there to prevent it.
That's interesting, especially like mid channeling like that, right? Because drawing on the weave, but no intent all of a sudden. And so the weave snaps back, and so too does Sarum, right? Like a small dying star, like folding in on himself and vanishing. And I think that like the Fae that is there, like turns toward you and your mask. He says, "We'll send you your portion."
I think I bow. I give him a full.
And
we're on equal ground here.
It inclines its head in your direction as well, and it says, "Master Knack, when next we meet, I pray it will be under better terms. You are known to my cousin. That makes you known to me.
I think Nestor looks at him and says, "I wish I knew a forgetting spell." And then this little grin on his face.
Done." And it
Oh
vanishes.
no!
Amazing.
Okay.
So at that point, Tristan, you have gained the top of the gantry, and like Nadia is pulling Compay boneless, just like completely out, just sweet sleeped into oblivion, pulling Compay up to his feet. And like you can see that there is a one-sided conversation happening between Nadia and the ragdoll, formerly known as Compay. And Apollo, straightens himself, straightens his cuffs, straightens his collar and everything, turns back and he says, "No, have a care. It's not Nadia. But we can't let it know."
Oh, so now that we're up here, I'll pull my sheath up so that it's up against my body. That way, if I have to maneuver, I don't have to worry about it banging around and getting caught
Good
on
call.
people. And then I'm going to slide out from behind him so that I can watch what's going on and be in a position where I'm still behind him because I am lesser than him. But if Nadia does something inappropriate, I can immediately slide in front of him and stand in between
Step
the two.
forward. Good. Thinking like a Bravo. I like that. It's all about the footwork, man.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think we watch in this moment, Nadia is like patting over Compay, and where is it? And I think Apollo at this point turns and he's like, "What was it exactly that you were missing from your vault? Do you recall, Master Bravo?"
Look, I remember it was a strong box.
I don't know that we were told specifically.
Yeah, I
what
don't
it
believe
was.
so.
No.
It was some
Yeah.
things that allegedly weren't important.
Right.
Which made it
Some
real
baubles, right?
important.
Yeah.
It's just baubles and trinkets
Yeah,
and things that really have no temporal value.
Yeah, I believe it was a strong box that I believe had some family mementos. Nothing of
Family
major, major money importance, but you know how it is. Old pictures and things like that have very importance to the family.
He smiles and he's like, "I never would have taken you for a sentimental type. I like that about
Have
you."
you met Godfrey?
No.
Ah,
Should I?
perhaps.
Does he fight?
No, he
Oh.
talks.
Oh. I think like there's a moment where we get like a full view of Apollo Brizolato, who's dressed, very, very well,
Yeah.
but like is still very much like that knock around guy. Like he's got not scabbed, but calloused knuckles, and like came up punching his way to the top, right? And has suddenly maybe gone a little bit to seed, but is still very much like a gangster, even though very, very clean-handed gangster at this point. And like,
he keeps control because he knows that every season there's going to be some newbie who has to make a name for himself, and he ends up making a name for himself just like every other newbie by washing the latrine after Brizzerato shoves his head in the toilet.
There you go. Exactly. It's like, I'm glad we had this talk, right?
With your beard.
Let me show you exactly where we stand. But yeah, like that's Apollo, and Apollo, you know, and he talks. And like, okay, fair enough. And he's like, okay, there were, I think, from what I understand, and he like points down to where Sarum, like we follow the bullet, and Sarum's head snaps, and he's like, well, he told me, and like he told me that it was a contract of some kind that you know he was gonna enforce on behalf of the Brizzolatos with Compe, and it was going to be a bloodless coup. He looks around, and there's just like it's still fights. You know, like the Ten Hammers have like completely annihilated the Brizzolato security detail and everything, and it's basically y'all up on this defensible platform at least. But it's like, and I don't think that we are in a good position as it is now. But I think that, and he points toward Nadia, she can get us out of here. We can't let her own anything over us. Do you understand?
Yes, understand.
We have to make it seem like it's her idea.
Yeah. I will say, in his defense, this is less blood than usually happens in the fighter pit by this point at night. So, you know, from a certain point of view, it is kind of a bloodless coup.
Sure, but a lot more outside the pit than I'm usually comfortable with.
Well, that's true. You know, and I bet you it's gonna. Well, no, wait, that's one of the opera house chandeliers that are cheap, so that because you know they're going to fall, isn't it? Okay,
yeah,
we're good.
Yeah, we get them at a bulk rate. Actually, we can get them for you wholesale if you want.
Yeah, I'll remember that.
So he crosses. He's like, okay, let me do the talking, and it's a back and forth, right? I think she turns and she's like, where is it? And he's like, I have no idea what you're talking about, Nadia. And like the artifice of back and forth. It's like, I think we got him. And she very in the stateliest way that a absolutely pissed off hellcat can possibly come across, she tells him in no uncertain terms that Compe was never what this was about. It was what Compe had, what they were going to use, who they were meant to be. And Apollo, turns and he's like, Tristane, I was under the impression that this was a chastening, a squabble between one of my men who'd gotten just a little too big for his britches. Did you have a differing outlook on this? Did I miss something? Am I wrong?
Not that I know of. That was that's kind of the feeling that we got when the 10 Hammers tried to hire us.
They tried to hire you?
Well, they were like, oh, well, we're here. There's stuff going on. Compe is wanting to take over. He thinks he's ready to, show the house what a real leader's like. Typical stuff.
He turns to Nadia and he's like, Nadia, under the auspices of the Bank of Brass and Bone, you own all of these people, don't you? And she, sniffs. He's like, call off your hounds. And Nadia, looks around. She's like, they're not mine. And he turns to you, Tristane, and he's like, do you think that any of these people would be fighting if it weren't for the money?
I think that one right down there would.
Tristane, go and fight that one. Because all these other ones are here for money.
So I start heading down the stairs.
So Maestra has gotten back up.
Yeah.
Maestra's gotten back up and is just like leaking blood from the nose. And like, I think Maestra like leans in and is like, Tristane, what the hell is going on here? I was under the impression that we were going to take out Brizzolato. Why is Brizzolato still alive?
The correct answer was you were going to attempt to take out Brizzolato.
When did you become one of their lapdogs?
Oh, I'm not. But, I mean, I've seen the, what's the term I'm looking for? Trash that Compay had, and I had to make a quick decision of which was better to back for the house.
I'm trash
And-
now.
Well, you're not trash. You're technically above trash. I mean,
You're like the lid
So-
on the can. It's right above trash.
well, I'm trying not to say the stench that comes off of trash, but
You're more like a miasma. Like,
yeah,
I can walk through trash. Yeah, I can walk through you too,
yeah,
but that'll linger.
yeah.
And like it's very clear that Maestra is not just taking offense, but like kind of psyching himself up, right? Like, oh, I'm trash now, huh? No, you're the stench that comes off trash. Oh, I'm the stench that comes off trash. Oh, you're funny too now, huh? Are you a clown instead of a lapdog, right? And so back and forth, this thing is going. Do you think it's you or he that draws steel first?
Oh, was this the guy I was actually pointing out?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, it's going to be me. When
Yeah.
he's like when he says, "So you think you're a clown?" It's like, well, I believe in people. People should double over in laughter, and I gut punch him with the quillions.
Yes. Okay. Now, big question here.
Yeah.
Is it more important that you look good or you make Apollo the opening he needs?
I'm still, to be honest, I'm still on the thing of Apollo.
You're on Apollo?
Yeah,
Fair.
because part of it is I owe Blaine for the help,
Sure.
and I'm hoping to loop this back into giving me that opening
Perfect.
for that. And in addition, having him on the side of the household is not a bad thing.
Never.
So I'm more looking at this
Good
as
call.
long term of, you know what, I can prove, I've already proven myself as competent. I've already shown off. I need to start thinking on behalf of the next steps.
Nice. Okay. So if you're able to make the opening here, if that's your goal, I think what we need here is a moment. This is going to be a setup. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I think this setup is going to give Nestor an opening, which is going to give Apollo what he needs.
Sure.
Okay. So stay in the wings there, Nestor.
Okay.
I got you. I got something for you real quick. But in this moment, like where you're going to gut punch, you're going to double up Maestra. Am I back?
Just a second.
Just for a second. So we did hear the
Okay.
gut punch of Maestra.
So as you're gut punching Maestra, I want to know, like, do we think we're commanding attention, or do we think that it is the excellence of the blow itself that does this?
Yeah, at first I was thinking the blow, but saying the commanding attention, in all honesty, it probably would be that, because part of this is with the whole idea of I'm trying to, he sent me down here to make a point.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I need to make sure that people notice the point. Otherwise, the point doesn't matter.
We are compelling swift obedience here is
Yeah.
what we're doing, right? Like, otherwise, who's the next guy that Apollo is going to send the dogs after?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I can see a command here. Command here is going to be, I feel like it's controlled
Mhm.
to start.
Okay.
I want to say it's limited to start as well, though, because again, you and Maestra are of a kind. You fight often, is what I'm getting.
Yeah.
So like, it's not exactly like a surprise or anything. They might be able to roll with it where we start. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think I want to lower it to risky.
Okay.
Get to standard.
Get to standard. Makes sense.
Yeah, I'm trying to decide on a push because I've only got one die in command. What's the lady's favor?
The lady's favor here is that that half mask that Nestor caught begins to whisper to him.
Okay. We've already discussed I like the face stuff, so I'll take the lady's favor.
Okay.
So that is command. +1 at risky standard.
Beautiful. All that you need right there.
Yeah.
I think what happens here is we watch like Maestro like double up, and again like already brutalized, right? That first hit should have laid them out for they should still be sleeping. Still be sleeping the whatever kind of sleep it is that you get after you're hit in the face with the quillions of a masterwork sword. But instead, like up and still trying to pick a fight.
So dramatic.
Yeah.
You know what we're going to do? We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in 10 minutes. We'll give Sean a chance to catch back up. We'll be back in 10 minutes. lot going on.
Mostly technical woes on my point of view, but anyway, so when we smashed a commercial there, Tristane was laying out the blow that was, you know, heard throughout the rake's clasp. I think that like we follow it in and like we watch Maestra like fold around this blow, and there's a hush that falls over like the melee as like, ooh, there's like 10 hammer regulars that are like in the midst of combat and like turning around like, oh my god, did you see? And then like there's from somewhere up in the cheap seats, hit him again. Like there's an immediate hush, and like I think there's that moment of like, you know, anybody else? Like it's very clear that like Apollo's sent like the heavy down there to like instill order. And like I think that there's a bunch of like 10 hammer regulars who are like, we could take them in a rush, right? And then there's like one familiar looking Altori, like yeah, what do you call it? Captain, right? Puts a hand on like the nearest one and is like, no.
Not worth it, son.
This you learn when it's time to okay. And like we see weapons returning to sheaths and everything. And there is a whisper from in Nestor's hand as he's holding this mask, as we like kind of zip over to where Nestor is like looking down at this half mask from the Bank of Brass and Bone. And it's a disembodied voice that you're fairly certain only you can hear, right? And it's, I can make you anything. Who do you want to be?
Nestor is looking at the inside of the mask and like replaying every moment in class of just being the idiot kid in the back who doesn't belong here. And he starts raising the mask to his face.
Okay. Can I tell you what you see through the eye hole as it is approaching your face? So the half mask is like Phantom of the Opera style,
Mm-hmm.
right? So through your right eye, your left eye is having difficulty like reconciling what it and its you know sibling are seeing, because through your left eye you're seeing up on the catwalk Nadia. You're looking, you know, through the Apollo Brizzolato. Down here is Tristane. You see Tharsis is over there in that pile of wreckage. Through the mask, you see Tharsis down in a pile of wreckage. You see Tristane. You see Apollo Brizzolato. Nadia, however, is not Nadia. Nadia is a... Have you ever seen like a rose bush that has gone without care or tending for a long time? Like how
I have one, yes.
Kind of gnarls and twists, and like the thorns grow over long, and the foliage is serrated, and it just screams, "Do not touch me."
Mm-hmm.
You see that, and it is overlaid with the image of Nadia, but there is a brand like right in the center of this rosebush forehead that you can't see, you know, through your left eye until you make note of it with your right. Does that make sense? Like now that you can see it, you can't unsee it.
It's
with
that.
your... Exactly. Yeah. And the brand is a debt mark to the Bank of Brass and Bone.
Okay.
Godfrey doesn't know anything.
And if he did, it would just make him one or more.
I think Nestor whispers to himself, that's what he sees in her.
It says don't touch.
Yeah.
Have to.
And then I don't think Nestor's one advantage here is that he's not wanting. He doesn't quest to be greater. He kind of is so used to surviving that being whatever you want to be is just a silly phrase to him almost.
Sure.
And I think he smiles and puts all of his energy into clearing that debt mark.
Mm.
Oh, okay. Damn. So, with the quiet that is happening in here, right? Because it is now there is a sound like a chastened classroom in here. Like there's some shifting and shuffling and some muttering and murmuring, and there's some people who are still trying to like decide what they're supposed to be doing in this situation, right? Because they clearly have Apollo Breatzelada's organization on the ropes, but they really don't love the position that they're in right now. Right? They've made a move, and Apollo's not dead, and they're trying to figure out what happens next, right? If you were to clear that debt mark, what do you hope happens?
I don't think that Nestor has a plan for what happens so much as
Perfect.
this is someone that Godfrey cares about.
I love that. Okay, perfect. Okay, I'm going to tell you that you start at desperate 0.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to crush the mask to pull power from it.
You are now at desperate limited.
And I will push if I'm allowed.
I think I can let you push
Okay.
for effect
I'm
here.
pushing for effect, yeah.
Drawing upon maybe a little bit more power than you necessarily tend to.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna get dangerous here.
Is there anything that he's drawing from the power that that Compay left behind? That may
mean
just be the
Sermon?
mask, though.
Serum.
Yeah.
Serum, yeah, that's right.
Sarum, yeah.
It's
Sarum's
Sarum,
mask
yeah.
is mostly
Is it okay? Cool.
Yeah.
unless I think the lady's favor here is that your energy, like your portion of Sarum's like knackery, comes through the weave at this point. But it's going to come with follow-on effects when we go into downtime here in a minute.
Oh, I love follow-on effects. Absolutely.
Okay.
We don't have to take every lady's favor, kids.
I'm willing to give you an extra die for that.
Consequences are where the fun is.
All right. So if I
PHUN fun.
have it right, that's +1 die. That's
Desperate standard.
Standard. Okay.
You are opening yourself to a world of hurt.
For those of you playing the home game, that's 2 6s. That's a crit.
That's crit. Okay. So my question is, is it more interesting if she has always been Fae, or if the Fae influence retreats from Nadia?
Oh, she's always been Fae.
She's always been Fae.
Yeah.
Good. So in that case, like you get to tell me what follow-on effect, what greater effect looks like here, because I think that debt mark erases. The whispering mask like crushes into a fine crystalline powder in your hand. Does like not Nadia's free? Does she remain? Is she still here?
I think as soon as it happens, she calls upon her Fae power and gets out. What I'd like to do with the crit, if possible, have this be a very visual magical effect to still the crowd.
I'm going to do you one better. Okay. You remember when Frankie said everyone out and everybody just sort of like turned and walked away for like, 10, 15 minutes? Like, hey, where'd I go just now?
Yeah.
These people, the ones who are wounded, the ones who are bleeding, like their wounds close. The dead stand back up.
Wow.
Like time reasserts itself backwards. And they like, it's almost like watching the tape in reverse, right? Like fights in reverse, and then they draw themselves out through the front door. And it's as though like the melee never happened. Sarum is gone, which means
I was gonna say for something
they do not
coming
get
back,
back
and I say, not you.
Yeah. Sarum was drawn into the weave elsewhere. like is gone. You told me they collapsed in on themselves, and
Yeah.
their sorcerer's power is now yours, right? Or at least a portion of it, that which you earned under the Accords. I think that time has drifted backwards, and like Nadia is gone. Apollo is there holding like Compay up in a fist, and like I think there is a moment where he reaches in and pulls out like a thin sheaf of papers out of like a belt pouch or whatever, that Compay was secreting about their body, and like drops him bonelessly onto the gantry. And I think he turns back to where Tristane is still behind him. And it's like, Tristane, escort me out. I have everything I need now.
Of course. And I will. So with the backup of time,
Everybody is still aware. You are all still aware of what has gone down.
Yeah. Is my sword still in my hand?
Still in your hand.
Okay, cool. Then I'll walk down, and we're taking front door. I mean,
Okay.
we're going to make sure everyone understands who's still standing and who's walking out on this.
That's right. That's absolutely correct. Yeah. Walking out like the Prince of the Twist and his right hand, right? Godfrey, you're out on the at the back alley, right? And like back in your attire, right?
I am, but I would like, and it doesn't have to be this way. I would have liked to have, as quickly as possible, come back in to assess, right? So I didn't want to leave sight of everything for
Sure.
too long.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that like there's that moment where you are aware of time being out of joint. You're seeing people moving marionette style backwards, and blood being sucked back into wounds. And you can see at the center of it is Nadia, like this male, like a force of nature to you, right? Like in that moment, she is that, but more so. And when she vanishes, it's because she's behind you right now.
I'm going to turn to her, just knowing in my gut Nestor was part of this. I'm going to turn to her and I'm going to go, "Are you okay?"
I think the smile that she gives you is luminous. I think she says, "The boy." I remember the boy. Godfrey, right?
"Yes, my lady."
No one's lady. Not anymore.
"I owe you a drink."
Let's not speak of owing. Ever. And I think she takes your hand. Elsewhere.
And we never saw Godfrey again.
So go ahead and mark Nadia as your paramour.
Oh.
Heat 1.
Yeah.
Yes, I think there is a drink. I think that happens. I think we should explore that in downtime.
I love that.
What do you guys think?
That's so good.
Okay.
I do have one question that'll come into play later.
Please.
Other than Nestor,
Mhm.
during all that nonsense, did any of us see any indication that Nadia was not a regular human person?
I don't believe so.
Cool.
Now, anybody can disagree with my fiction here.
No, I'm in favor of that. Yeah.
Okay. I do not see it.
So yeah, and I think we need to flesh this out a little bit more.
Sure.
I know Nestor was involved. I know Nadia is not exactly what I thought she was, but I am not versed
No.
in this.
Mm-mm.
So when we go to downtime, there is a Godfrey Nestor conversation.
Yeah, I imagine so.
I love
So
this.
I
Dave
think-
has an idea too.
I think we should definitely do downtime as part of episode 4 because I love a full episode of downtime.
Okay.
So we're going to cut to credits. We have a ton to talk about. We'll be right back. Awesome. Back. Boy, that was a lot in 2 sessions. And I think I mentioned it that, you know, one aspect of role playing that I have never in all of my 30 years on this planet have ever had a chance to explore is the romance thing. And I gotta tell you, I didn't know how I'd react to it, but man, leaning into it and like I had no trouble really caring about her and making that a priority. And it makes me want to explore it more as a player, definitely, and a little bit more as a GM too, because it for old dudes like me, this was just not a big part of role playing, right? These types of relationships. And I know for a lot of people, it is what this hobby is, right? Is exploring that type of stuff. Really cool. And I'm very happy with myself that I'm super comfortable with it, like really like it. And hats off to you, Sean, because it felt very comfortable for me. Which is a tribute to you and the rest of the table. But you are the GM, so you're in charge of Stars and Wishes.
I'm in charge of Stars and Wishes. Okay.
I want to start with your Stars and Wishes, though.
My Stars and Wishes. Okay.
As I said, you were in
crap.
charge, and then I
See?
took over again.
Okay. So real quick, just before we do Stars and Wishes, I want to give the GMs perspective on romance at the table, just because it is difficult to carry off effortlessly as a GM unless you have an open line of communication with your players.
Yes.
Like Craig came to the green room basically and was like, hey, so there are romance mechanics in this game. I've never played a game like that. Here is an NPC that I am interested in. Is there any way that we could work, you know, the paramour system or any of this romance in and like kind of showcase it? That express consent, like this is not a thing that I would drop on anybody.
Right.
This is not a thing that I would emphasize without there being a conversation, without making sure that we discuss safety and bleed and consent in everything that we do. This is absolutely not a necessity to play Court of Blades. It is not even a thing that I would say like will make Court of Blades more fun as like a unilateral thing. This is absolutely a thing that, like, if this is a thing that is interesting to you and your table, we provided like mechanization and tools to support that particular, because it is a genre which lends itself very often to romance. So express consent and enthusiastic ongoing check-ins if ever you were to do this kind of thing with the game.
Yeah, and we have an X card in play, right? So it's something that's not apparent to the audience, but the 5 of us have an X card. There is a very clear way we can express that X card that allows us to make sure that only 5 of us know it was played.
Mhm.
And that brings an incredible amount of safety. We don't have to worry about publicly playing the X card. And that allowed me to feel very comfortable to say to you, Sean, we can push this. We can go with this, because I know that if at some point, I thought I wanted to do this, but now
Weird.
I don't. I had an out that would not embarrass me.
Good. And that's important. And I wanted to foot stomp that, because this is a game that can get romantic, can get heated, and anytime and intense. Yeah. And anytime we're dealing with heated and intense emotions, we want to make sure that bleed is considered. And anyway, so Stars and Wishes. Sorry, starting with me, because Craig is quarterbacking this this leadership thing. Okay, stars. Fucking everything. So I loved Donald Tristane's like scabbard language that is developing, like the use of physical space and like the tools of the Bravos trade. That is so evocative that I absolutely want to go and write an additional like Bravos bravura, the Bravo schools, that is nothing but like the both the social, defensive, and offensive uses of the scabbard. Like, that is so cool. The
language, right? Like,
Yep. I know exactly where the person that I'm protecting is, because I can feel them with my scabbard.
So
perfect. Cool. Very cool. I loved the willingness to resist that I saw tonight. Using those tools is really cool. I almost started the session with the 10 hammer regulars invade the Rake's clinch, and you all die in the fray, just to get like resistances and flashbacks and things like that into play, because those tools are super neat. I say it all the time. Like, one of my favorite ways to start a Forge in the Dark game is like, your hideout has been found. They're throwing Molotov cocktails through your windows. The headquarters is on fire. Okay, we're starting there. Okay, fine.
Yep.
But just seeing those tools in action, like I love anytime you guys push back on the fiction as it comes up. That's super cool. You also, I saw a lot of ladies' favors. Like, even though there were a bunch of 6s, the fact that all of y'all were super comfortable complicating your own fiction, we'll say, so that I didn't have to wait for those 4 5s or those 1 to 3s to actually get to play this game. That's always really fun. So thank you guys for playing hard. Hopefully that you guys had fun doing it. As far as wishes, what I really want to see is, I want to see through downtime us follow some of these dangling threads and let them complicate our life, so that our next errand is tied in even better to the fiction that is emerging. Do we think that's something we can do?
Yeah.
We can complicate our lives during downtime.
Yeah. Turns out we're good at that.
Yeah.
Nathan, tell me your stars and wishes.
Okay. Star. You talk about Donald Scabbard language, and I absolutely agree. It's just, the whole world of it's just been incredible. I loved Godfrey's reaction. I gotta get out of here, so I'm in a situation I'm in control again. It took at first I was like, what's he doing? And like I had to like think my way through it. I was like, no, that's exactly Godfrey. He's not gonna run down there and punch someone in the face. So that was just, I love that. I thought it was
Laying
great.
to type. Mm-hmm.
Wishes. I really want. I think it's I want to see the brother relationship. We saw some of that in session 2.
Yep.
Session 1. They kind of got separated in this one, but I think the downtimes would be a great chance to see that playing together again.
Yep.
And look forward to seeing more of that.
Brother relationship. Cool. I'm into that. Donald, stars and wishes.
So my stars is actually the pseudo random number generator that we're using. Just because, we were talking about like last session, we didn't think there was a single 6.
Right.
And so there was constantly, and it's like, we're going in and we're intentionally making it tougher on ourselves by, we're getting those limited effects that we're wanting to push.
Yeah.
And you're kind of sitting there going, okay, let's see how this goes. And then, those 2 times we got the crits of, they were both felt to me like they were at that point where things could go the worst they possibly could. If, it's like, you don't want to roll a 4 or a 5 here, because even that's going to be bad.
Or a 2.
Yeah.
I looked to see if I had my special armor still before that last cast. I gotta be honest.
I was waiting for it.
Yeah. So just that, intense moment of, okay, you're waiting to see what the dice come up. Because, a lot of times, especially in these, what I call competency games, it's like, okay, sure. Even if I fail horribly, I'll be able to handle it. Even if I get a 4 or 5, something will happen, I'll move on. But it's like, okay, sorry, my brother's name has just escaped my brain.
Tarsus.
Tarsus. Tarsus on this gantry trying to take a shot, and you're like sitting there going, if he rolls a 3, he is going. That entire thing is coming down around his ears.
Yep. Desperate.
And Nestor
right?
is in a terrible position, right?
Right.
Like,
exactly. So wishes actually kind of matches Nestor's a little bit, except I'll expand it. In that, like he mentioned, in this game, this particular session was a lot of individual people in a larger scale thing. And we didn't really get the interplayer interactions that we've gotten in previous sessions.
Correct.
And, that I've really been enjoying being able to play off of the other players.
I have good news for you. You guys get to frame me scenes for downtime. So yes, I agree with that, because it's difficult. So our first episode was like the pilot, where we like had a bunch of hooks that we baited, and then the second was like the rising action, and then the cliffhanger, and this one was like how we had 4 always at least 4 spinning plates at any one time. Now we get to spin our own plates during downtime, and then we'll see where that takes us. So I'm looking forward to getting you guys all together again.
What was cool about that, though? I noticed with every one of you, even if we were all doing our own thing, every character was checking in on the other characters.
No question.
I saw that too.
Where they are, what they're doing.
Until one of us left.
putting himself back into a position where he could be helpful. Yeah, it was good. It was good. We liked it. Brian, tell me your stars
lucky
and
you
wishes.
didn't need me.
Yeah. Luck had nothing to do with it. I mean, the scabbard language was, again, brilliant. Everybody knows that. But I think my favorite moment was seeing Nestor like, okay, this woman that we know Godfrey is crazy about is clearly a non-human entity of some kind, and she's trapped in some kind of sorceress bondage. And, so you could do whatever you want. Oh, I'm going to get her out of that.
Yeah.
The ultimate wingman.
Perfectly Nestor move. It's just like, oh, this ravenous dog is trapped by a chain. I'm going to let it loose. but it was a perfect moment.
And what's cool about that too, Brian, because that was one of my stars, you asshole.
What you get for not going first.
What was perfect about that though was a tribute to Nathan as a player, right? Because the options that Nestor had were wide, and an optimized player would never have gone there. But there's already been a situation where Nathan's learned Nestor, and there's been a relationship growing between Godfrey and Nestor. And like, hats off, Nathan, for just
that was a great
leaning into your character that way. Like, oh,
I think we've all demonstrated by now that none of us are optimized players, but we're having a good time.
but I want
That's
people
important.
watching to know how much fun it is to find your character.
For sure.
To start with a thumbnail and then have a fleshed out character.
Yeah.
I think when we were off screen, we joked about how important the wingmanning was to Nestor. And like at that moment, I was like, the wingman rises.
That's it.
Like,
Yeah, I
in
saw
my
it.
head.
I saw it
my
happen.
Oh, yeah.
It just,
Like putting it in the mask was just so perfect. I loved it.
That was nice. Yeah, as far as wishes go, I mean, I will throw out the obligatory wish that your ISP performs a little better next time.
You would not believe how much I pay for this service.
I can only imagine.
but we survived.
We
You
did.
know, we got through it. It all came through.
I'll just
But,
use this particular internet browser next time because like
Yeah,
I
no,
tried the other two.
It
And they
was a
didn't do
lot
well.
better once you switched over.
Huge
whether
improvement
coincidence
after
or
break.
not.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as wishes for what's going on, I mean, I just want to see. It's kind of like what Nathan's at, and what everybody's been saying is I want to see now that these characters get together with their 4 different perspectives on what just went down. I'm going to be really interested to see what's going on. I said this after Monday Night's Forbidden Lands game. I'm looking forward to a long in-character argument. And now I'm kind of looking forward to a long in-character discussion that's just like, what the hell just happened?
Excellent.
It'll be really interesting, Brian. And I don't know the answer to this because it's super complicated in an interesting way. Is what do the 3 of you tell Godfrey? That's layer 1. Because you know what I'm capable of and what an idiot I am. And 2, I don't know what Godfrey will believe.
Well, that'll be a fascinating thing to find out now.
Exactly, right? Like that is super interesting because with a couple, and God bless this hobby, with a couple comments and a couple decisions, we have now built a child-born fixation that Godfrey has on this person. And when you think about that and the fictions we can create as people that will defy all logic and defy all evidence, I've got some thinking to do.
Well,
in
as
Godfrey's
the poet
head.
said, as the poet said, when a man loves a woman, she can do no wrong.
Yeah. and God, how cool is that, right? Like,
For sure.
oh, it's so cool.
It's going to be fertile territory to explore. Craig, while we have you talking, tell me your stars and wishes.
Oh, God, I could literally talk for 30 minutes. Donald, I've said this to you several times. You are just such a great player. And I think what makes you a great player is you are very specific, which enhances everybody's understanding of the world that we're playing in. And the other part of it is you're also generous at the same time. So I've played with people that are very specific and researched and prepared, and it becomes their game. And your ability, Donald, to balance that is something for all players to strive for, which is add to the game, but don't take anything away from anybody else. Just keep giving. So my star is you, Donald. You are a really, really good player. Wishes is long. I'm really excited, Sean, to see you run Downtime, because I learned so much pre episode 1, Forged in the Dark, how to run. Like, I've always done Forged in the Dark in, like, let's start with an errand, right?
Yeah.
Let's start with it. And you taught me that there's a lot that we can do without that. And I'm really excited to see your Downtime. So
Downtime is fun.
I wish to be there, and I own this channel, so I'm going to be there. I want to explore in the next 2 episodes. The obvious relationship we have is between the twins.
Yep.
But I think that there's a really interesting thing happening with Nestor and Godfrey.
Correct.
And this Nadia thing just makes it even more interesting. I don't know what that relationship is, because I can tell you in character, Godfrey trusts Nestor, but does not trust the knack.
That's an important distinction.
Right? And I feel drawn to Nestor, but I don't understand this world, right? And now for me to have something that I know Nestor was involved in, and it doesn't mean like he was responsible for, but like, I know what's happening with my paramour right now.
Mhm.
Nestor is far more versed in. Like, I want to explore that relationship a lot. So I'm wishing to explore that more, which ties into the wishes we've all expressed.
Yep.
Full disclosure for those watching, when Sean and I talked about this, and this is long overdue. Nick Westbrook didn't have to, but he did. Pledged at a level on the Kickstarter for Court of Blades for all of us to play together and for Sean to run the game. And when Nick did that, he knew damn well that all I had to go was, Sean, would you run Court of Blades? And Sean would go, yes, Craig, I would love to. And so like, Nick is one of the greatest supporters out there. He supports so many podcasts. He supports so many channels. He supports so many Kickstarters. Like, Nick, like, God bless you, brother.
He's a patron of the art.
He really is a patron of the arts. But so I talked to Sean about this. I'm like, hey, Sean, we got to make sure that Nick, gets what he paid for, right? And so I said, what I really think we should do is pre-errand, downtime errand. And when I said that, I was just like, that would fulfill everything, right? I think we have to have a season 2. So I still want to do season 1 is errand, downtime errand, so we can see all of that play out. Because and just real quick, Forged in the Dark is a one-shot only if you can do event, downtime event, because Forged in the Dark breaks a little bit if downtime doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Downtime has to matter for everything else to work, but I'm not ready for just 2 errands with the 4 of us.
Yeah,
I'm
no
really
escape,
not
Sean.
ready for that. Yeah,
Okay,
so
that's fine.
at some point, Sean, and it can be a year from now, I don't care, but I want us to come back again, because this is really a lot of fun. And I talked about it in episode 2. Those of you that have just read Court of Blades, you need to play this game, because it's not as similar as you thought. It's as familiar as you thought, but it feels so different. So different. All right. Bottom left of the corner, a couple of drakes.com. There's the website. Go check it out. This is there. There's so much else there. Before you and I even met, Sean, I bought all of your Blades in the Dark material on Edge.
I still owe so many of those.
That's when I was just like, I need to meet these people. And that's why I reached out for the interview. The first time that you and I and your better half met was when me, like, I need to talk to these people. They're really smart. And there is there's a rumor I'm getting a fulfillment soon.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Am.
Interesting.
What is that of?
So that's going to be Dead Belt, which is our solo tabletop role-playing game of desperate space cowboys trying to pick a living off of the belt of junk starships around the supermassive black hole Sag. That's a game that you can sit down and play by yourself for 15 minutes, or you can play it over the course of about 6 months and maybe get your belter all the way to retirement or die in space. Or you can sit down with a partner. It supports a co-op and a rivalry mode. So whether you want to co-op or PvP your way through the Dead Belt, you can do that as well.
And it comes with its own podcast.
It does come with a podcast.
And the podcast is fantastic. I also think, and I've been thinking about this a lot, Sean, I think it's an incredible on-ramp to solo role-playing. I really do. Go ahead.
It doesn't have the one of the things that was stopped me from really getting into and enjoying solo role-playing games was it felt like I had to have something to say to play a journaling game, and that I had to play both sides of the table to play like a game like Iron Sworn or an Oracle based solo role playing game. So what we ended up doing was making something that felt a little bit more like a solo board game that you were then laying narrative over, which I think works. So
it does work, because I've tried several solo, in Dead Belt. It asked less of me and gave me a lot more than I gave it.
That's what we're hoping for.
Yeah. And that's why I tell people, like, I'm interested when they're solo RPG curious. I'm like, try Dead Belt. Now, don't get me wrong. 10,000-Year-Old Vampire is really effing good.
Really good.
But it asks a lot, right? And the rewards are great, right? I'm not taking anything away from it. But what I love about Dead Belt is it's familiar. It's an easy on ramp. I can put in as much as I want, and it can have as much of a meaning as I need it to be. So absolutely fantastic. And there's guys. So Nathan, is out of curiosity, is there a Drake game that you're obsessed with that we have not put on the channel or talked about enough?
So I love like giant robot mecha. So I want to see Disaster Wings so bad.
Yes,
I love it. I love the way it's built. I want to it's
so
on
good.
my playlist. So absolutely.
That's not what I was thinking of, though, but that was the right answer.
I just got to play Disaster Wing with Donald not too terribly long ago, and it was phenomenal. So
Nice.
No, I'm thinking about the Gods one. I can't remember the name.
Old Gods?
Oh, No God. Yeah,
No God's Country.
Yeah.
No God's Country. Yeah, that's real good.
I am so interested in that troop style play.
Okay.
And I've read through that one like 5 or 6 times, and
Awesome.
I'm utterly intrigued by it. Like,
It's super intriguing, right? Like, I've read it twice now, and I'm like, I think I need to see this thing in action. Like, there is something really cool going on here, and like, I want to see it played. I want to see the damn thing played. So we got to talk about that, Sean.
Yeah.
I don't want to give you like the blanket yes anytime you want me back or anything like that, because I feel like I should make you work for it a little bit.
Oh,
but
for sure.
by the same
you're
token,
starting
like,
at Risky Limited, Craig.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna start with exactly. Controlled
folks.
Zero.
Patreon tiers, get Craig money. We can get this happening.
Exactly. But in any case, like if there's a game that you guys want to see, like I like playing with y'all. I like being a patron of the channel. I like any time that you guys like say, hey, here's a cool thing, and I'd really like to have you on board with it. Like I want to be here. Just want to put that out there.
You and Navi have been so good to us. So good to us. All right, real quick. Brian, I like board games.
I've heard that.
I like hearing people talk about board games when I have
Looking
too
at-
many board games, but yet I want to buy them anyway, is there a podcast that would entice me to find the best board games out there?
Maybe something in like an upward fashion.
Well, I will once again jump on that grenade by suggesting that you might want to consider the Ascent of Board Games, like the Ascent of Man, only
Perfect.
with board games, which is our monthly podcast. It's not a big commitment. It's an hour or so a month. And you can hear 5 of us nattering about the history of board games and how they have become the way they are and evolved over the years, and probably spend some money along the way.
Cool.
And your group knows so much about the hobby and comes at it from so many different angles that everybody that listens will find their voice on that podcast, which is a big part of what I love about it. Nathan, what do you want to plug, buddy?
I know that there's a little bit of delay on episode 2, but I'm going to keep going out there. The Foxtail Games Game of Slayers right now. As soon as episode 2 comes out, catch it. It's the first episode. I re-listened to it the other day. It's awesome. It's only going to get better. It's a great cast. Check it out.
Yeah, and everybody who watches this channel knows Maeve, who's a friend of mine. She is amazing, and what she's doing on the podcast is great. What Nathan is doing on that podcast is great. What Nick Westbrook has done on the podcast is great. Please check it out. Donald, what do you want to plug?
So I actually stumbled across a podcast really recently that Sean was on an episode of. It's called Fine Blueprints.
Yep.
And what it is it's a podcast from the Blades in the Dark Discord where the host will bring on a guest who's a designer, and then they'll pick one of the game mechanics and then discuss the game mechanic from the point of view of a Forged in the Dark game that the designer's done.
Cool.
And one of the things I really love about it is that it feels like they're trying to pick designers that have twisted the mechanic. So while not only do they discuss this is how the mechanic works for blades, they're like, oh, well, this is how we modified it.
Oh,
So
that's
you
cool.
get a real feel about how you can massage the game, because that's really what this podcast seems to be about, is to help other people who want to hack Forged in the Dark learn the knobs that you can twist and how people have successfully twisted them.
What a cool concept.
Yeah.
I literally just subscribed to that. So.
Yeah, what a great concept. So guys, next week there's not going to be any content out of the third floor. I've got a delayed podcast that'll be released. It's with Chris Shepperson about the Kickstarter they have going. I've just gushed on Sean about his solo RPG. This doesn't take away from that, because I'm telling you right now, Rectify, which is a solo that's on Kickstarter right now, kind of effed me up a little bit.
Wow.
Yeah, it is. It's one of those games that I predict will be referenced more by designers than players. It's going to have an impact on how we look at solo RPGs. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. So that'll come out next week, but otherwise there will be no streams next week. But when we come back, we go to Eastern Europe for a little bit of Knights Black Agents. We continue that on. It's a very, very special game that has been well into process. We're on episode 5 now. So can't wait. Talk soon. Love you, mean it. Cheers.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks all.
Howdy, friends. Thank you for watching. All our content is archived and organized in playlists on the Third Floor Wars YouTube channel. Check it out. And if you could like, follow, subscribe, and even set your notifications to this channel on YouTube and Twitch, we'd appreciate it, and it'll make sure that you catch all of our content. I talk with creators, designers, and experts across the gaming landscape in every episode of our podcast, Tabletop Talk. Open up your favorite podcatcher and search for Tabletop Talk from Third Floor Wars. Support your creators. They make the content you love, and it's your support that makes it happen. If you want to help us, go to Third Floor Wars on patreon.com, and you can help us for as little as $1 a month. Thanks again. We'll see you next time. Take care.